Now we are less than 24 hours away from the big one. Luis Ortiz is here. Zach Tawatari is here. Also former Texan Seth Payne from Sports Radio 610 with 3 playoff games under your belt, Seth, including one in which your team won 62-7. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, it was Dan Marino's last game. Poor old man. Yeah, it was a rough exit for him. Benched him, we did.
Yes, and guys, The Athletic this past week listing a reason to hop on the bandwagon for each playoff team and a reason to avoid the bandwagon. We have our own little bandwagon on the big board, so Seth, give us a reason to hop on the Texans bandwagon.
Oh, I'll tell you what, for anybody who hasn't been watching this Texans team, this is defense the way defense is meant to be played. It's not just that they limit points, it's that they do it in a really aggressive football, violent type of way. This is old school football, just like their head coach, D'Amico Ryans, was an old school player. So if you think today's athletes are too soft, jump on this bandwagon. Get with the Texans.
So I'm going to go with Seth as well. Defense, I'm just going to break it down a little bit more, and specifically that secondary, the way they are able to help out on the run. And also this is going to be key because the Steelers, they had the fastest release of the football in the league. I'm talking about 2.6 seconds to get rid of the ball. So we're talking about Kamari Lassiter, Kalen Bullock, and Derek Stingley. That's going to be key for them to attack that passing game.
All right, Zach?
All right, for me, it's going to be defensive ends.
Okay.
Do you like that one? Defensive ends. And I'll tell you why. Because the Texans, right, they have 2 guys on their team, 2 all-pros, in fact, in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., who are top 10 in sacks. That's going to be huge in going up against Aaron Rodgers.
Wow, look, Dr. Tawatari. What does that even say?
It says defensive ends.
Okay, all right. I'm going to
try.
try. You guys have gone defense, 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 and certainly this team is all about the defense, but I'm going to go this way as well. I'm going to say Kaimi Fairbairn is a big reason to jump on this Texans bandwagon. This guy missed 4 field goals the whole season, just 4. And the way these playoff games have been playing out, they're all tight. You're going to need a kicker who performs and produces in the clutch. And listen, Kaimi Fairbairn right now is as good as anyone. So, Seth, these guys are talking defense. The Steelers, they've always been known for defense, the steel curtain, et cetera, et cetera. What are you seeing from this season's Steelers defense?
Look, this isn't a classic Steelers defense. Their pass defense is horrible, but they do one thing really well. They blitz and they get a lot of sacks. They've got the 6th most sacks in the league. That's 1 spot above the Houston Texans. How do they do it? And I would include CJ in that. CJ is responsible for getting them into the right protection, and that's hard versus a team that disguises their blitzes really well.
And Seth, you're mentioning the blitzing from the Steelers. Listen, we now have to talk about reasons to avoid the bandwagon. As you can see, this guy right here, he's running away. So is the Texans O-line a reason to avoid the Texans bandwagon during these playoffs?
Not as much as it used to be because the offensive line is solidified, but they still struggle at times versus the Chargers, versus the Chiefs when teams decide to go all-out blitz against them. So, yeah, I still have nervousness about just how well the offense is going to operate. Overall, inability to consistently score points and move the ball, that's still making me nervous.
All right, so what's a reason then? What would be your reason then in a couple of words?
Offensive mediocrity.
I guess that sums it up. Offensive mediocrity. All right, so
this is where we see if Zach can spell.
Yes.
Man, I get all the long ones thanks to you guys. I mean, for me, it's the same, along the same lines, right? It's touchdowns or their lack of. The Texans rank 30th in red zone efficiency when it comes to scoring touchdowns. So that's pretty bad for a team that's won 12 games.
Yeah, for me, it's offense as well. You got to come away with 6, not 3. So it goes with what you're saying, touchdowns. You got to get into the end zone because really that's going to make the difference. Yes, in the playoffs, we've seen it. It's close games. They're decided by very few points, but you got to come over with the touchdowns.
I'm just going to say just the operation in general. Sometimes the Texans are just really clunky. So is that a good word, clunky, for these Texans offensively at times, Seth?
Yeah, I think it is. You know, they have improved at it. A lot of the pre-snap operation, the pre-snap penalties, all of those have gotten more efficient. The thing that I'm most optimistic about is that they have shown a tendency to figure it out by the fourth quarter. So be a little less clunky in the first three quarters and extend that back from the fourth quarter. One thing about the Steelers that's important to know is that on this 6-game playoff losing streak that they have, they've been outscored in the first quarter by 73 points to nothing. So getting to a fast start this week, if you can do it like you did versus the Chargers, it's been real bad news for the Steelers in the playoffs.
Of course, in the playoffs, everything is magnified. So this is a wild card game. What is your wild card which could decide this Pittsburgh-Houston matchup, Seth?
My biggest concern versus this Steelers team is the linebackers in coverage, because we've seen at times in the past few weeks or towards the end of the season, the Texans have struggled to contain Trey McBride, the tight end. They've struggled against running backs as receivers, and the Steelers have two running backs who are really good as receivers. Gainwell and Warren do a great job of getting the ball and then breaking a lot of tackles. So they really got to hem up some of those issues from late in the season. Also, Freiermuth, the tight end, been underutilized, but utilized more as the season's gone along. That's a guy that a lot of Steelers fans have been clamoring for, and I don't want to see the Texans defense give them any reason to get what they want.
So we talked about the offense being the reason why we hop off the bandwagon, right? For me, I think that the X factor would be offensive creativity. You know, we saw Togiai line up at fullback not long ago, right? So if Nick Caley can get creative, not too cute, right? You don't want to do too much, but just enough to where this offense can surprise the Steelers and create some opportunities to get on the board, I think that would be the X factor.
And for me, the X factor then is C.J. Stroud, for what you're saying. If C.J. doesn't turn the football over, if he is smart with the football and he is putting passes on the money, I think the Texans are going to have a good night, because the defense is a given for me. The defense is a given for me, Zach.
The X factor for me is Aaron Rodgers in this game. And I say that because, this guy's 42 years old, but he has 21 years of NFL experience. What we've seen from the Texans defense this year is that they are a little bit prone to giving up some of those explosive plays. There's no question that they're incredibly physical, incredibly fast, but with a guy who's seen everything, you know what kind of tricks he might have up his sleeve.
Creativity, right?
Creativity.
Yeah.
There you go.
And he especially has a great connection with DK Metcalf, who's been able to rest for a couple of games. He didn't request it, but he had to rest for a couple of games. And Rodgers is a much better quarterback with DK Metcalf on the field. And Rodgers will throw it to DK Metcalf even when he's not open, and he'll show some of those vintage touch throws to the sideline. That's where Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley, even if they're covering DK Metcalf really well, are going to have some opportunities for broken up passes, potentially interceptions. But we know Rodgers also doesn't turn the ball over a lot.
And I love the fact that Seth used the word vintage, because ahead on Sports Extra, it is all about this. We're using the Wayback Machine, so don't go away. Welcome back. Football games are not won on paper. Texans have had some ugly victories this season. But Luis, been digging into the archives, and you found one of the most bizarre games in NFL history.
Guys, this is one of the most interesting box scores you'll ever see, because, look, we got to play a little bit of game of guess who. Take a look at these numbers, and I want you to say who you think won this game.
Well, I mean, look at total yards and possession time. I mean, 422 to 39-41 in possession, so 19 more minutes with the ball. And, I mean, this is the big one, right?
Yeah, and look, the 5-1 turnovers, okay, but look at this, 24 first downs to 3. I mean, this doesn't seem like, this seems pretty simple to me.
It looks, right? It looks like somebody just dominated this game. And listen, we got to go back in time. This was December 8th, a game in which Seth actually played in 2002. Texans against who? The Steelers, their upcoming opponent in the wild card, right? The Texans actually won this game. And I'm going to tell you, look, they only had 3 first downs, you said it, but this is how they did it with defense. Their strength, right? They're so good defensively. Back then, Kenny Wright, he returned a fumble, 40 yards, take it all the way home. And then how about Aaron Glenn with 2 pick sixes, 1 70-yarder and a 65-yarder. The Texans, they only scored defensive touchdowns. Offensively, they scored a few field goals. No one else able to score a touchdown in this game, and that's how they turned defense into offense.
Oh, Seth, I'm sure that's how you drew it up, right?
Oh, yeah. That was I've never been so tired after a football game as that one. David Carr after that game, because every guy on the defense got a game ball, and then David Carr, the quarterback, said that we should all take the ball and throw it at the offense because the offense did nothing. It was actually a much better performance than that 422 yards would suggest. It's just that the offense was going 3 and out every single time they were out on the field. I've got that game ball sitting up on my. Here, I'll go get it.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'd love to see that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Kenny Wright, and of course Aaron Glenn, most people know, is for now still the head coach of the New York Jets.
Yeah.
December 8th, 2022. That's how you can do it with defense up at Heinz Field. It'll never be Acrisure to me. No. That place is not that scary. Those fans, they get cold themselves. They'll be telling the Texans players, like, oh, it's so cold up here. Meanwhile, they're bundled up like Ralphie from A Christmas Story. It's not even going to be that cold. No fear of Pittsburgh.
All right, Seth, we will find out more, of course, on Monday night. As always, Seth, thank you for being on Sports Extra, and thanks for showing us some of your personal memorabilia collection.
Yeah, you got me fired up. I wish I hadn't thrown that football, though. Yeah.